So why did Ascent send you?
I'm here to monitor you. I've been getting word from the higher-ups that you've been slacking on your job.
Unfortunately, you know why. If I'm to complete this mission unscathed, I'll need to stay undercover.
I shouldn't have to remind you about your kill switch.
Well, you're just gonna have to wait. Either you kill me, or they tear me limb from limb. Now shut up and put this on.
Wait, what? Reed, what are you doing?
You see, Corvus? It's not too bad. Now be quiet, the recording's about to start.
You could have used glue instead of nails.
So what's up with all these people writing crap based on other crap? It seems like a never-ending dirge of weird in-universe OCs. People make them, then shoehorn them into other people's work. It almost reminds me of what they're doing with the endless reboots in Hollywood. But I digress. We're not talking about worthless slop. We're talking about writing, and how painful the process can be when you're just starting out. Some knock it out of the park on their first go-around, while others make it a story that feels like reading through the schizophrenic manifestation of the writer's inner monologue.
If all you have in your head is garbage, then what you're putting down is going to be garbage. Usually, starting out, you haven't written enough words, read enough stories, and done enough research to really get anything of quality down on paper that you will like 3, 6, or 12 months down the road. If you think it's flawless still, after coming back to it later, then I guarantee you haven't done enough writing, reading, and research since then. Your skill level hasn't improved substantially, if at all, between then and later. If you're taking it seriously, as in you're wanting to make a career out of it, or simply trying to improve your ability for the sake thereof, you'll find that the challenges and obstacles you face are numerous.
So what makes writing difficult? For the most part, I feel like we all have a hard time expressing ourselves, whether that be through a physical art piece or a 1,000-page manifesto. It seems like the picture is completely clear inside our heads, but as soon as it's on the page or in the Word doc, it's a jumbled mess of random ideas. Almost like a proverbial sketch page, but that's always how it starts. We have to lay down those construction lines before we can start building. We're not like printers, we can't go line by line to create. Creativity is more of a fluid thing that we have to direct.
That direction comes in the shape of writing, reading, and researching. By consistently writing an entire story, beginning to end, you get a better sense of how you want a plot to flow, characters to act, and/or what themes to focus on. By consistently reading, you get a sense of how other people lay out all these elements and more in their stories. Prose, stylistic decisions, word choices, character arcs, the overall message or lack thereof, how they attempt to craft an unheard of idea or the unique spin on tropes and literary staples everyone's familiar with. Researching goes hand in hand with reading because you get a practical viewpoint into why these elements work in the stories that you're reading and why they need to work a specific way in your own written work. By being outside your own head, drawing more knowledge in, and experiencing your own stories, you get that direction you want to put down on paper.
So when should you start writing? I suppose it's not exactly the same as drawing in the sense that you can't get better by doing it multiple times. I'd say it's closer to sharpening a knife. You'll have to take a coarse pass over the edge before you can get to the polishing stage. You should start writing as soon as possible, and learn just as quickly to never get attached to the things you write. There will almost always be revisions and alterations you'll want to add. That pride we feel is a poison. It's our ego talking. Nothing we make will be perfect, so don't expect it to be. But likewise, understand your experience and skill level. It does you no favors to not accept criticism. Obviously, if someone's just hating, that's one thing. But if they've typed out multiple paragraphs about what you've written, it might be a good idea to listen.
Might being the key word. There comes a point too when you need to recognize the skill level of the other person, what their experience is in both writing said genre and enjoying it casually as a reader, listener, whatever. It's always a good idea to seek out fellow writers and/or a friend who's interested in both reading your work and discussing it. Both of these gives you two things: people who know your thoughts regarding what your intentions are for the story, and someone who can effectively brainstorm. Those initial course passes, as Reed put it, should be the brainstorming stage, which takes you to the writing stage, and finishes in the polishing stage. and having someone every step of the way to critique and help you with your writing, or in this example, will result in one sharp fucking knife.
So let's think about where these ideas come from. In general, our writing is a manifestation of our inner thoughts about the outside world, but honestly, they can come from anywhere. We have a huge pool of inspiration to pull from. Everything we do in the real world can be pulled into your fiction. Usually that makes for some of the best fiction. When we have a solid understanding of the real world, it makes it easier to flip on its head and put a new twist on it. A great example of this is Repo the Genetic Opera. They took the concept of usury and extrapolated that to its furthest extent, killing your fellow man for not paying his bills. You have to be thinking on that level when it comes to writing.
And don't be afraid to be inspired by new things you read, you see, and experience. You don't get those manifestations unless you experience anything to the fullest extent it can be experienced. Read books, think about the words and definitions, the overall themes, talk about them with your friends to get a better sense of what the content of those words mean to you and how you interpret them in your head. Talk and listen to new people. Get a sense for conversations and personalities and what makes people tick, and apply it to your characters. Your own thinking, your own life, the stuff you like at the very least. Look at art. Explore how a piece makes you feel, what the imagery evokes, how you would put something like that into words. Taste food, listen to birds, smell roses. Inspiration is everywhere. Never be blind to it. You know, Reed, when the next break starts, I need you to run and take care of this contract.
You're serious? You're gonna make me run out there, get covered in blood? Don't you think that'll raise some suspicion?
Don't worry. This one will be clean.
I should have put one more nail right between your eyes.
You know that wouldn't do anything. I've already been lobotomized.
Let's talk about who's making it difficult to write. It could be a lot of external factors like stress and deadlines, but the other half is going to be yourself. You have to dedicate time to writing, improving, and taking feedback. The last thing is the most important one. Getting people to read your work is difficult enough, but to get proper feedback is great and should not be taken lightly. Of course, there are times when your ideas won't align with what others are talking about, but it might be a good idea to take a look from their perspective and ask why they would change those things. In general, the person that makes it difficult to write is yourself. You have to take accountability for your creativity. If you're not giving yourself enough time to calm down and work on art, it's only hurting you. Believe me, I understand the feeling of not having enough hours in the day, but that's life. The pressure should drive you to carve out time for yourself where you can be alone and work without distraction.
Along with time, you should be carving out a goal. That goal, for most writers, takes the shape of a daily word or page count. I wouldn't recommend the latter if you're doing anything that isn't Arial 11 on your Word document. But a solid word count could be anywhere between 500 to 2,000 a day, 250 to 500 words in an hour. But that all depends on the type of writing you're doing. That ties back to researching, as you'll need to look into what you're attempting to write, whether you're looking into genre, format, styles, publishers, whatever. And that all takes time, on top of the time you would be spending absorbing everything around you outside of writing to improve it, on top of all the time spent on getting critique for your work from friends and experienced people you'll need to make friends with, on top of all the responsibilities and deadlines you're already committed to day in and day out, on top of everything else holding you back. 250 to 500 words in an hour is a good goal to start out on. Those are numbers you can track, compare, and improve on over time, if you are willing to make that time to commit to that goal.
The last thing we'll talk about is why people enjoy writing. Back when I was in school, I absolutely despised writing because it was something forced on me. It was always about topics that don't interest me and never served me any value later in life. I felt like word counts were arbitrary and superfluous to communicating effectively. It gave me a strong resentment for wasted time. But this fire is what fuels this channel. I enjoy writing because these topics are important to me. It's also something that allows me to reach out and help other creators as well. It wasn't writing that I hated. It was making slop that was destined to be thrown out as soon as it was over that annoyed me. I think that's something to strive for. making your writing important to you. Nobody wants to spend their lives working for someone else.
If I had to guess, a significant number of writers in various entertainment industries are working long hours to produce mediocre garbage for the sake of cashing a check. If writing to you is a means to an end to make decent money, and you're good at it, who can blame you? Not everyone has a grand vision or some lifelong aspirations attached to it. But if I had to make another guess, I'd say a far more significant number of you writers have a drive to show something to the world, or prove a point to someone. Friends, family, the world, or simply yourself. Figure out who or what this work is for as early as you can before you take it any further, because you'll lose sight of that desire really quick if what you're working for and towards isn't something easily discernible in your mind. And, of course, never forget that at the core of your work is you. Your mind, your body, your time. Even if it isn't entirely the reason, you are why you enjoy your work.
Ascent really wants me to harvest a human? It's kind of strange.
You here for me?
Yeah, Ascent says you're up next.
They didn't warn you, did they?
Warn me? About what?
Warn you. About my new series, Choler, starring me, Officer Shane.
Oh, god damn it, this is an ad, isn't it?
Yep. Me and my partner, Officer Sal, got a distress call from a hospital in the city of Tacoma, and these sick folk huddled up there need our help.
I'm getting sick just listening to this.
Read. So, now me and Sal are heading to Tacoma to get them out of the city. Sal thinks it'll be an easy in and out, but that city's been a hellhole since day one of the epidemic. And the things we saw.
Yes, the fentanyl crisis is getting out of hand. But where can I find Choler?
It's pronounced Choler. But, you can find it on Webtoons, Global Comics, HenryJamesWilliams.com, ReadTheDeer.com, and I'm sure we'll spread it around from there.
Oh, like a disease.
Yep.
Yeah. Writing can be a very painful process when you're just starting out, but it's worth it to practice because it gives you the fundamental tools to express yourself. When you go out of your way to exclusively work on writing projects you care about, it can make the entire process significantly more fulfilling. You should keep in mind that external factors like work and general stress can play a huge factor when it comes to your productivity. You should attempt to minimize these factors or plan to work around them so you can keep your ideas and creativity flowing. In conclusion, write something. Eat a cinder block.